Podcast 10. Welcome to another episode of Life of a Songwriter. Today I'm going to be showing you, my podcast setup, and not just showing you my podcast setup. I've already done that. But got kind of how it runs since I'm setting up for another episode today. So let's get into it. Well, first off, I've got, my mic stand and stuff out here that, like you saw in the first video, if you watched the first video. And that'll go over here. Today I'm going to be sitting and recording. I've also got my sparkling water, so that's nice. And my bag of all the equipment. So let me get some of this set up real quick. Okay, we're all set up now, so let's go through how I, actually podcast. So right now, this episode I'm going to be sitting down to do. Hence the reason the mic is over here by the table. Got the headphones to monitor. But let's go through the process of setting up a recording session. So to get started, I have to take my mouse, which is up on the TV, and go down here to Ableton. Let's go. So I'm going to drag that up here onto the TV. So first, what I have to do to get the whole thing set up is I have to go over here, which I click up at Live in Preferences, which opens up this little interface here. And I go into Audio Input and select Scarlett Solo for the input and output. What this is doing is setting my Scarlett Solo, this nifty device right here, as the spot where audio goes into and comes out of. And that's where I have my microphone, my headphones, and anything else I could want to hooked up. That means any audio coming in through the microphone right here will go into the program on my screen. That'll happen via one of the tracks over here once I set that up. And then with the proper settings, I'll be able to listen to it all through here in real time. So if there's an issue or I know I'm not loud enough, I can solve that mid-video, or not mid-video, mid-recording. To give you an example what a normal podcast stack looks like, what all the tracks look like, let me pull up a previous episode real quick for you. Okay. Live. Open live set. Here's what episode 10 looked like. This one had a little bit more involvement in it because, you have the normal recording here. My intro music, if we zoom in right there, that is the introduction or whatever, where it's got the music playing and I introduce you to Songsmith. Up here is a sound effect for confetti because I put we're at 10 episodes now, so that was pretty cool. And zooming later over here, I had sound effects for the start of every single episode. And obviously this is only audio because, I made a video for it. A pretty good video too, I would say. Compared to the other stuff I made, that is. Another sound effect there. But yeah, it's a couple tracks. For this one, I think I have like 5 or 6 tracks being used. Normally it's probably like 3 because I have the audio of me talking. And then I have the introduction on a different track and the outro music on a different track. Anything else I add, say I add background music, that might add a 4th track and whatnot. But going back to a new live set, if I go over here, number 1 is selected, which this microphone right here is the number 1 microphone. For instance, right there you see channel 2. Sorry for the fingers in the screen. Channel 2 would be the instrument 1/4 inch cable input. So like say I had a guitar over here, you see number 2. That's where it would be getting audio from. And while we're on the note of podcasting, I definitely want to say, if you've only watched my YouTube videos so far, like the video videos, I would highly recommend you go check out the podcast. Because even though they're not videos you can sit down and watch, I mean, there is things on screen, especially for the later episodes. They still have a lot of great content in them, especially if you want to learn more songwriting. Because so far these YouTube videos have been less focused on songwriting itself. And I really want to make sure that you guys are getting that out of Songsmith. So if you haven't dived into the podcast, you can listen to it on different streaming platforms, or you can find it right here on YouTube. So let me give you a glimpse into how I start the recording of a podcast. Whoop. Tally-hoo. First, got to get that drink. Howdy, everyone. Howdy, everyone, and welcome to episode 10 of Songsmith. Today, we're going to be talking about a couple different things. First off, priorities in songwriting and music making, and what that plays into the greater picture of you being a music artist, as well as talking about some upcoming things for the show and exciting news for the YouTube channel. Can't wait to dive into all of that, so as usual, let's dive right in. Normally for the intros, I do something like, hello, welcome to episode whatever, This time it's episode 12. And then after that, give a small sneak peek as to the topics we're going to be covering in that episode. And then after that, the intro music plays with the little, hello everybody and welcome to Songsmith. I'm your host, Keaton Williamson. That whole spiel, which I need to update that soon because it's a little bit long and a little bit dated now. Obviously, you can see I'll have to edit that because I stalled. My brain just farted for a minute, so I had to give a little pause and then continue talking. So yeah, that's kind of the setup for the podcasting and how I get started. I'll give you some updates on how this recording went after I'm done recording the episode. So check in with you in a few. It's going to be more like 45 minutes to an hour. It takes me a little while to record these, depending on the length of the episode. So we'll be there in a minute. So this episode took a turn I was not expecting. I came out here, the episode wasn't scripted. It's never scripted, but it had no outline or anything. I was just like, I have an idea, which the episode for this was talking about priorities, and more so, it even went off a tangent of that, talking about what are we making our music for, and what are the true stakes behind all of it. Instead of trying to have you understand what I mean by all of that, like explaining it all over again, I highly recommend you check out the podcast episode. It probably is going to be out by the time this video is, but if not, look for episode 12 when it releases for Songsmith. It was an unscripted episode, like I said, and it was very Sunday sermon-esque. I went preacher mode in this episode, and I didn't talk about songwriting as much as I did talk about what is the reason we're doing songwriting. Personally, we need to think about that, each and every one of us, and understand the stakes of it all. If God has given us a platform to share our talents and share what we're saying with others, we should be so on fire to share God's message, the gospel message, with others. Now, that was a little jumbled up the way I said that, but again, I highly recommend you go check out episode 12 to get better context as to what I'm saying and, hear everything I had to say about that. Before I forget, I need to save this so that I don't lose it. Save live set. This video is probably a shorter one. In fact, I'm sure it's probably going to be like 5 to 8 minutes, if that. But I really hope you enjoyed this episode, kind of talking about my podcast setup and then talking about, how the recording went. Because I think it went pretty well. It was pretty smooth and all that. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you want to check out more, right here will be a playlist of Life of a Songwriter videos. So you can check out all that other stuff here. In this area, there'll be a playlist for Songsmith. And in this, you can check out episode 12, the episode I recorded in this video. And then over here, you can check out a video which YouTube thinks you'll enjoy listening to or watching if it's a podcast episode or whatever. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.